I found the receipt in her Hermès bag while looking for aspirin. $2,300 at the Ritz-Carlton, charged to our joint account 3 days ago. The same Tuesday, I'd been elbow-deep in pipeline mud 40 miles outside Houston, fixing a valve that should have been replaced 2 years back. Seraphina wasn't home. She was never home anymore. The apartment smelled like her perfume, that Chanel stuff that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. I stood in our kitchen, holding that receipt like it might spontaneously combust, and felt something crack inside my chest. Not my heart. That had developed calluses over the past 2 years. This was different. This was the sound of my patience shattering. My phone buzzed. A text from her. Dinner with Vinny. Don't wait up. Right. Vinny Caraway, her so-called friend and personal enabler. The woman who'd convinced Seraphina that a consultant's wife deserved better than an oil field worker's lifestyle, never mind that I'd doubled my income in the past year. I photographed the receipt, saved it to a folder I'd started last month titled Evidence. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but you don't spend 15 years in industrial work without learning to document everything. The apartment was too quiet. I opened a beer and sat at our cheap IKEA table, the one Seraphina had been begging me to replace with something appropriate for entertaining. I'd been working 60-hour weeks, pulling overtime to pay for her shopping addiction, and she wanted a $10,000 dining set. I pulled up our bank statements on my laptop. The rabbit hole went deeper than I'd imagined. Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, Whole Foods charges that could have fed a family of 4 for a month. But those weren't what made my blood run cold. It was the pattern. Every Thursday, like clockwork, 2 charges within minutes of each other. One for her, one that looked suspiciously like men's luxury goods. Same stores, same times, same days. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered. I scrolled back 3 months. The pattern held. Gucci, Tom Ford, Rolex, always in pairs, always on Thursdays, always when I was scheduled for my longest shifts. My phone buzzed again. An email notification from American Airlines. Trip confirmation for Seraphina Quaid. I hadn't booked any trip. The flight was for next weekend, Houston to Cabo San Lucas. 2 tickets, return date open-ended. I sat back and laughed. Actually laughed, because the alternative was putting my fist through the drywall, and I'd be the one paying to fix it. The front door opened around 11. Seraphina glided in wearing a dress I'd never seen before, something cream-colored and expensive-looking. Her blonde hair was perfect, her makeup flawless. She looked like a woman who'd just had a very good time. "You're still up," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Long day," I replied. "How was dinner?" "Fine." She kicked off her heels, 3-inch Louboutins that cost more than my truck payment. "Vinny's thinking about getting a divorce." "That's so?" "Her husband doesn't appreciate her." Seraphina opened the fridge, frowned at its contents like they'd personally offended her. "He thinks she should be grateful for his income, as if money alone makes a marriage." The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. "What does make a marriage?" I asked. She turned to me, and for just a second, I saw something in her face. Guilt, maybe, or annoyance that I was still awake. "Partnership," she said. "Mutual respect. Supporting each other's needs." Interesting theory. "What's that supposed to mean?" I gestured at her dress. "New outfit? This?" She smoothed the fabric. "I've had it for months. Must have missed it in the closet." "You don't pay attention, Harrison. You never have." And there it was. The pivot. The way she could turn any conversation into an indictment of my failures. "I pay attention," I said quietly. "More than you think." Something flickered across her face. Uncertainty, maybe, but it was gone before I could name it. "I'm tired," she announced. "I'm going to bed." "Seraphina?" She paused in the doorway. "That trip to Cabo next weekend. You looking forward to it?" Her spine went rigid. "How did you—" Email confirmation came to my phone. You used the joint account for the booking. The silence stretched out like taffy. It's a work thing, she said finally. Networking. In Cabo? Yes. For how long? I'm not sure yet. These things are fluid. 2 tickets. Another pause. Longer this time. Vinny's coming, she said. We're sharing accommodations to save money. The lie was so blatant I almost admired it. Right, I said. Well, have fun networking. She left without another word. I heard the bedroom door close, then lock. That was new. I sat at the kitchen table until 2 in the morning, drinking beer and making lists. Not a to-do list, more like a tactical assessment. Years of industrial problem-solving had taught me one thing. Every system has weak points. Every structure has a load-bearing wall. I just had to find hers. The next morning, I called in sick for the first time in 2 years. My supervisor, a guy named Pete who'd been in the oil business since before I was born, didn't even question it. You sound like hell, Quaid, he said. Take the day. Take 2 if you need them. Thanks, Pete. Everything okay? Just need to handle some personal business. Say no more. See you Monday. I waited until Seraphina left for her yoga class, which I was now 90% sure was code for something else entirely. Then I got to work. First stop, her laptop. She'd stopped being careful about passwords around year 3 of our marriage, back when she still pretended to care about my opinion. Her email was a goldmine. Messages from Vinny about keeping Harrison in the dark, forwarded reservations for romantic dinners I'd never attended. And there, buried in a folder marked Personal, correspondence with someone named Damien Wren. The name punched me in the gut. I knew that name. Seraphina had mentioned him exactly once, years ago, when she'd had too much wine at a company party. My college boyfriend, she'd said. The one that got away. Apparently, he hadn't gotten very far. I scrolled through their messages, feeling my jaw clench tighter with each one. The affair had been going on for 6 months. 6 months of lies, of Thursday afternoon shopping trips, of late nights when she came home smelling like someone else's cologne. Cabo will be perfect, one message read. Just you and me like old times. Harrison's too stupid to notice anyway. That last line did it. Not the affair itself, though that hurt like hell. The casual contempt, the assumption of my stupidity. I screenshotted everything and emailed it to myself from a new address I set up just for this purpose. Then I cleared the laptop's history and put everything back exactly as I'd found it. Second stop, finances. I couldn't touch the joint account yet, not without tipping my hand. But I could protect myself. I opened a new account at a different bank, had my paycheck redirected, and set up automatic transfers to move my half of our savings somewhere she couldn't reach it. The beauty of Texas law, what's mine is mine, especially if I can prove she's been using community funds for an extramarital affair. Third stop, her car. I'm a mechanic by training, even if I'd moved into pipeline consultation. I know cars like some guys know sports statistics, and I know exactly how to make a vehicle behave badly without making it dangerous. Nothing that would hurt anyone. I'm not that kind of angry. But a mysteriously wandering alignment that would make her late for appointments, a spark plug that would cause embarrassing stalls at inconvenient moments, that I could do. I was under her BMW when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Quaid? A woman's voice, professional and cool. This is Jennifer from Cartier, Houston. We wanted to confirm your wife's order is ready for pickup. A gentleman's Ballon Bleu watch, engraved as requested. My hand tightened on my socket wrench. Engraved with what? Let me see. To D Forever Yours S. Will you be collecting it, or should we hold it for Mrs. Quaid? Hold it, I said. She'll be by later this week. Perfect. Have a wonderful day. I lay under that BMW for another 10 minutes, staring at the undercarriage, my mind racing. A $30,000 watch. For her lover. Bought with our money. The wrench in my hand felt very heavy suddenly. But I'm not an impulsive man. I never have been. Rage is a tool, not a master. You direct it, or it directs you. I finished adjusting her alignment and went inside to shower. The face in the mirror looked older than 42. But there was something else there, too. Something hard and certain. When Seraphina came home that evening, I was cooking pasta, her favorite, with that expensive sauce she insisted on buying. "You're home early," she said, surprised. "Took the day off. Figured we could have dinner together. We haven't done that in a while." "I actually have plans." "Cancel them." She blinked. "Excuse me?" "Cancel them, Seraphina. Have dinner with your husband." For a moment she looked like she might argue, then something in my expression made her reconsider. "Fine," she said, "but I can't stay long." We ate in silence, uncomfortable, heavy silence. I watched her pick at her food, checking her phone every 30 seconds. "Expecting a call?" I asked. "Just work stuff." "Right, work." Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Just making conversation." "You're being weird, Harrison." "Am I?" I took a sip of wine. "Must be the stress. Working all those long hours, trying to keep up with our expenses. Here we go again." "Here we go what?" "The martyr routine. Poor Harrison. Working so hard, sacrificing so much." I set down my fork carefully. "You know what I find interesting? How your definition of sacrifice has changed. Used to be, sacrifice meant giving something up. Now it seems to mean buying whatever you want while someone else foots the bill." Her face flushed. "I'm not having this conversation." "No, you're right. You're probably late for something. Or someone." She stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. "I don't know what's gotten into you, but I don't have to sit here and take this." "You're right," I said. "You don't. Nobody's forcing you to stay." She grabbed her purse and left. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. I finished my pasta alone, then pulled up the passenger manifest for next weekend's flight to Cabo. 2 names, Seraphina Quaid and Damien Wren. Seats 3A and 3B. First class, naturally. I opened my laptop and started planning. The thing about revenge is that it requires patience, discipline, a clear understanding of cause and effect, and leverage. Always leverage. I had 7 days. 7 days to dismantle the perfect life Seraphina thought she was building with her college sweetheart. 7 days to make sure that when she reached for luxury, all she'd find was humiliation. I made myself another list. This one was longer, more detailed. And by the time I finished, I was smiling. Let's see who's stupid now, sweetheart. Friday morning, I followed her. Not physically, I'm smarter than that. But Seraphina had never bothered to turn off location sharing on her phone, probably because she'd never imagined I'd check. The Find My app showed her little blue dot moving across Houston like a beacon of betrayal. She wasn't at yoga. She was at a cafe in River Oaks, the kind of place where a coffee costs what I used to make in an hour. And she wasn't alone. I couldn't see him from my truck, parked 2 blocks away, but I knew he was there. Damien Wren. I'd found his Facebook profile the night before. 43 years old, divorced twice, currently working as a lifestyle consultant, which seemed to be code for unemployed with family money. His profile picture showed a man with 2 white teeth and the kind of tan that came from expensive vacations, not honest work. They stayed at that cafe for 90 minutes. When Seraphina's dot finally started moving again, it headed toward the Galleria. Shopping, naturally. I had a better idea for my morning. Damien lived in a condo in Midtown, one of those glass towers with a doorman and a parking garage that required a key fob. But security systems are only as good as the people running them, and people are predictably lazy. I'd learned that in the oil fields, where one careless worker could shut down an entire operation. I walked in behind a delivery guy, nodded at the doorman like I belonged there, and took the elevator to the 8th floor. Damien's unit was 804. The door had one of those electronic locks, the kind that thought it was secure but really just kept out honest people. I didn't try to break in. That would be stupid and potentially illegal. But I did take note of the model. And I did happen to know a guy who sold universal programming keys for those exact locks. Sometimes it pays to have friends in the security business. Back in my truck, I called Johnny Ramos, a former colleague who'd left the oil fields to start a security consulting firm. "Quaid," he said. "Long time, brother. What's up?" "Need a favor. Got a buddy who locked himself out of his condo, one of those Schlag Connect jobs. You still carry the override keys?" "Sure do. Which building?" I gave him the address. "Fancy," Johnny said. "Your buddy must be doing well." "Something like that. Can I borrow one for a day?" "Come by the shop this afternoon. $50 rental, but you gotta bring it back by Monday." Deal. I spent the rest of Friday gathering intelligence. Damien's social media presence was a shrine to narcissism. Photos of himself at expensive restaurants, on boats, at charity galas. The man documented his life like he thought someone was keeping score. What he didn't document were the photos Seraphina appeared in. Those were carefully cropped or angled to avoid showing her face clearly. Smart in a way. But digital footprints are harder to erase than people think. I found them together in the background of someone else's Instagram post from a gallery opening 3 weeks ago. Standing close, his hand on the small of her back. The casual intimacy of it made my stomach turn. That evening, I made my first move. Seraphina came home around 7, arms full of shopping bags. "Good day?" I asked from the couch. "Fine. Buy anything interesting?" She didn't answer, just carried her bags to the bedroom. I heard the closet door open and close several times. What she didn't know was that I'd spent my lunch break reorganizing that closet. Nothing major, just swapped some similar-looking items. Black dress with black dress, but different sizes. Shoes shuffled so the pairs didn't quite match. Dry cleaning tickets rearranged. Small things. Irritating things. The kind of things that would make her late, flustered, second-guessing herself. Saturday morning proved my theory. I heard her in the closet, muttering increasingly creative profanity. "Everything okay?" I called. "My blue Valentino dress is gone." "Did you check the cleaning bag?" "Of course I checked the—" "Wait." A pause. "This isn't my dress. This is 2 sizes too big." "Harrison, did you do something to my closet?" I appeared in the doorway, picture of innocence. "Like what?" "I don't know, but nothing's where it should be." "Maybe you moved things around and forgot. You have been pretty distracted lately." Her eyes narrowed, but she couldn't quite accuse me of anything. "I need to get ready. I have a thing at noon." "What kind of thing?" "Lunch. With Vinny." "Right. Well, hope you find something to wear." I left her there, surrounded by designer chaos, and went to make breakfast. By the time she emerged, 40 minutes late and visibly stressed, I was reading the newspaper like I didn't have a care in the world. "You're still here," she said. "It's Saturday. Where else would I be?" "I don't know. The office? You're always at the office." "Taking a day off. Thought maybe we could do something together later." "I told you, I have plans." "Right. Lunch with Vinny." I looked up from the paper. "You know, I ran into Vinny's husband last week. Nice guy. We should have them over for dinner sometime." The color drained from her face. We're both so busy. We'll figure something out. I'll text him." "Don't." The word came out sharper than she'd intended. "I mean, don't bother. Vinny mentioned they're having some issues. Might be awkward." "Ah, sorry to hear that." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "I'll be back late. Don't wait up." I waited until I heard her car start, then I activated Plan B. Seraphina's BMW made a sound like a dying cat when she tried to pull out of the parking spot. The alignment I'd adjusted yesterday was doing exactly what I'd intended. The car lurched to the right, forcing her to overcorrect. She got out, circled the vehicle, got back in, tried again. Same result. I watched from the window as she pulled out her phone, probably calling a tow truck. This was going to make her very late for lunch with Vinny. My own phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Did you do something to her car? I stared at the message. Then I looked at the number more carefully. Area code 713, Houston, but not one I recognized. Who is this? I typed back. Someone who might be willing to help you, if you're willing to help me. My heart rate kicked up. Help me with what? Exposing a liar. Meet me at the Starbucks on Westheimer in an hour. I should have been more cautious. This could have been a trap or worse. But curiosity got the better of me. The Starbucks was crowded, full of weekend warriors on their laptops. I ordered a coffee and waited. Harrison? I turned. The woman standing behind me was early 30s, sharp-eyed, dressed in jeans and a leather jacket. She had the look of someone who'd seen too much and trusted too little. You are? Kelly Wren, Damien's ex-wife. Number 2, if you're keeping track. I gestured to a corner table. Let's talk. Kelly Wren turned out to be exactly what I needed, a woman with an axe to grind and information to share. I know what he's doing, she said without preamble. The same thing he did to me. Finds women with money or access to money, sweeps them off their feet, bleeds them dry, moves on. Your wife is just his latest mark. How'd you find me? I've been watching him. Saw your wife's car at his building multiple times. Ran her plates. Found your name. Facebook did the rest. She took a sip of her coffee. I'm not proud of the stalking, but I'm not letting him destroy another life without at least warning someone. What did he do to you? Took $100,000 from our joint account and disappeared. By the time I realized what was happening, he'd cleaned out everything and filed for divorce. Judge went easy on him because he had a better lawyer. Why tell me this? Kelly's smile was sharp. Because you look like someone who's planning something, and I want to help. I studied her. What's in it for you? Satisfaction. Revenge. Take your pick. She leaned forward. Look, I know what you're thinking. Why should you trust me? You shouldn't. But I'm offering intelligence. I know his patterns, his tells, his weaknesses. I know where he goes, who he talks to, what he's afraid of. What is he afraid of? Public humiliation. Damien's whole identity is built on image. Take that away, and he crumbles. I thought about this. You said you've been watching him. You know about the Cabo trip? I know everything, including the fact that he's been telling your wife he's independently wealthy, when in reality, he's living off credit cards and his mother's trust fund. That condo? Rented? That car? Leased? The man's a facade. This was better than I'd hoped. What do you want me to do? Whatever you're planning, let me help. I have access to things you don't. I know people he knows, and I'm very good at making his life difficult. I made a decision. Okay, but we do this my way. Nothing illegal. Nothing that could blow back on either of us. Agreed. We spent the next hour planning. Kelly knew about a dinner reservation Damien had made for Monday night at one of Houston's most exclusive restaurants. She knew about his Thursday routine. She even knew his mother's phone number. His mom doesn't know about the affair, Kelly said. Mrs. Wren is old money, very Catholic, very proper. She'd be horrified to know her son was sleeping with a married woman. How certain are you? Completely. I was married to him for 3 years. Trust me, he keeps his mother in the dark about anything that might disappoint her. Interesting. There's more. He told your wife he's about to close a major business deal. Complete fiction. He's broke and desperate. That Cabo trip? He's planning to propose to her there, get her to leave you, marry him, get access to whatever assets you have. My hands tightened on my coffee cup. He told you this? He told his brother, who told me. We stayed friendly after the divorce. Some of us see Damien for what he is. A con artist. A very charming one, but yes. I left that meeting with a new ally and a clearer picture of what I was up against. Damien wasn't just a homewrecker. He was a predator. And Seraphina wasn't his partner. She was his target. That should have made me feel better. It didn't. Monday morning, I went back to work. Pete took one look at me and raised an eyebrow. That personal business get handled? Working on it. You need anything, you let me know. You're one of the good ones, Quaid. I spent the day on a drilling platform, troubleshooting a pressure valve issue. The physical work felt good, honest, simple cause and effect. Nothing like the psychological chess game I was playing at home. That evening, while Seraphina was out at another meeting, I used Johnny's override key to enter Damien's condo. I'm not proud of this. Breaking and entering is a crime, even if you don't steal anything. But I justified it to myself as reconnaissance, intel gathering, the same thing I'd do before any major project at work. The condo was exactly what I'd expected. Expensive furniture, probably rented. Art on the walls that looked impressive, but was likely mass-produced. A walk-in closet full of designer labels. And on the nightstand, next to a king-size bed that made my stomach turn, a framed photo. Seraphina. I stood there looking at that photo for a long time. She looked happy. Genuinely happy, in a way I hadn't seen in years. That hurt worse than anything else. I didn't take the photo, didn't touch anything really, but I did plant something. In the bathroom, behind a stack of towels, I placed a small Bluetooth tracker, the kind hunters use to find their dogs. $20 investment, available on Amazon. Completely legal to own, if not entirely ethical to use. I left the condo exactly as I'd found it and drove home. Seraphina was already asleep when I got back, or pretending to be. Either way, we didn't talk. Tuesday morning, I got a text from Kelly. He's meeting her for coffee at 10, usual place. I had a better idea. I called Cartier. Yes, this is Harrison Quaid. My wife ordered a watch last week. I'd like to pick it up. Will she need to be present? Oh, no, sir. As long as you have ID and the order confirmation number. Perfect. I'll be there at 2. At exactly 2:15, I walked into Cartier Houston, carrying a box with a $30,000 watch inside. The engraving mocked me. To D, forever yours, S. I drove straight to Damien's building. This time I didn't sneak in. I walked up to the doorman like I owned the place. Delivery for Mr. Wren in 804. Leave it here. I'll make sure he gets it. Needs a signature, sorry. Company policy. The doorman sighed and called up. No answer. He's not home. You'll have to come back. No problem, but do me a favor. When you see him, tell him his watch is ready. He'll know what that means. I left the Cartier box with the doorman and walked away. Phase 1 complete. Now came the fun part. Wednesday morning started with a phone call from my bank. Mr. Quaid, we wanted to verify some unusual activity on your joint account. Multiple attempts to transfer large sums were blocked by our fraud detection system. Blocked how? Someone tried to wire $15,000 to an account in the Cayman Islands. The system flagged it as suspicious because it didn't match your normal spending patterns. My jaw clenched. When was this? Yesterday evening, around 9 p.m. Right around the time Seraphina had claimed she was at a book club meeting. That wasn't me, I said, and it wasn't authorized. We suspected as much. We've frozen the account temporarily and flagged it for investigation. You'll need to come in and file a fraud report. I spent my lunch break at the bank, signing paperwork and answering questions. The manager, a woman named Patricia who'd worked there for 20 years, gave me a sympathetic look. This happens more often than you'd think, she said quietly. Usually with joint accounts. You might want to consider separating your finances. Already done, but thank you. The fraud investigation will take a few weeks. In the meantime, neither party can access these funds. It's frozen pending resolution. Perfect. That evening, Seraphina came home in a fury. What did you do? She demanded before she'd even closed the door. Hello to you too. The bank account is frozen. I tried to pay for groceries today and my card was declined. Do you know how humiliating that was? Interesting. Mine worked fine. Harrison, what is going on? I looked up from my laptop. Someone tried to wire $15,000 to the Cayman Islands yesterday. The bank flagged it as fraud. Since I didn't authorize it, and I'm assuming you didn't either, they've frozen everything until they figure out what happened. The color drained from her face. That must be a mistake. Must be. Though it's strange timing, don't you think? Right before your trip to Cabo? This has nothing to do with Cabo. I'm sure it doesn't. Anyway, the bank says it'll take a few weeks to sort out. In the meantime, I've opened a separate account for my income. You should probably do the same. You can't do that. Already did. Texas is a community property state, but I'm entitled to protect my earnings from fraud. My lawyer confirmed it. Your lawyer? Her voice went up an octave. When did you get a lawyer? Around the same time I found out about Damien. The silence that followed was absolute. Seraphina stood frozen in the doorway, her purse clutched in both hands, her face cycling through emotions faster than I could name them. Shock, anger, fear, calculation. I don't know what you think you know, she said finally, but you're wrong. Am I? Because I've got 6 months of email correspondence that says otherwise. Credit card statements showing matching purchases at luxury stores, hotel receipts, a flight manifest with his name right next to yours, and, oh, that's right, a $30,000 watch you bought him with our money. You went through my computer? You used our joint account to fund an affair. I'd say we're past worrying about privacy. She set her purse down very carefully. This is not what you think. Then explain it to me. Damien and we're friends. Old friends. We reconnected last year at a conference, and yes, we've spent time together, but it's not... Stop. I held up a hand. Don't insult my intelligence. I've seen the messages, Seraphina, the I miss you texts, the hotel rooms, the plans you've made for your life together after you leave me. At least, have the decency to be honest. Tears started down her face. Real ones, I think. You don't understand. You're never here, Harrison. You're always working, always tired, always making me feel like I'm asking for too much. Damien makes me feel special. He listens to me. He's a con artist. You're jealous. No, I'm informed. Damien Wren has been married twice. Both times he drained his wives' bank accounts and left them in debt. He doesn't love you, Seraphina. He's using you. That's not true. Call his ex-wife, Kelly Wren. Ask her yourself. That stopped her. You talked to his ex-wife? She found me, warned me. Apparently Damien's working the same playbook he used on her. Find a woman with money, make her fall in love, get access to her assets, disappear. You're lying. Then go to Cabo. See what happens when he realizes there's no money to access. See how long his affection lasts when you can't pay for the lifestyle he's selling. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Where are you going? Away from you? That's fine. But you should know I've already filed for divorce. Papers will be served tomorrow morning. The only question now is whether you want to make this ugly or handle it like adults. The door slammed hard enough to crack the frame. I sat in the silence for a long time, feeling the weight of what I'd just done settle onto my shoulders. This was real now. No going back. My phone buzzed. Kelly. How'd she take it? About as well as expected. Want to meet? I've got updates. We met at a bar on the west side of town, the kind of place where nobody asked questions and the drinks were strong. Damien's panicking, Kelly said. I've got a friend who works at his building. Says he's been on the phone all day arguing with someone. Probably your wife. Good. There's more. The Cabo trip? I made some calls. The resort he booked is one of those all-inclusive places that charges everything to the room and bills the credit card on file at checkout. Except the card he used was yours. Your wife's, technically, but from the joint account. Which is now frozen. Kelly smiled. Which means when they try to check out, there's going to be a problem. I thought about this. How expensive are we talking? With the room, meals, spa treatments, excursions, probably 15 grand minimum, could go higher depending on how much they spend. And if the card doesn't work, they hold your passport and call the police. That seems extreme. Mexico doesn't mess around with hotel fraud. I've seen it happen. Guy I knew tried to skip out on a $10,000 bill at a resort in Tulum. Spent 3 days in a Mexican jail before his family wired the money. A plan started forming. Can you do something for me? Depends on what it is. Call the resort. Pretend to be from the credit card company. Tell them the card they have on file is flagged for fraud and they should require a different payment method at check-in. Kelly's smile widened. I love the way you think. Thursday, I went to work and tried to focus on normal things. Pipeline pressure, valve specifications, safety protocols. But my mind kept drifting. Pete found me at lunch, sitting alone in my truck. You look like hell, Quaid. Thanks. Want to talk about it? Not really. He nodded, understanding that particular brand of pain. For what it's worth, you're doing the right thing, whatever it is. How do you know? Because you're still showing up, still doing your job. Guy falling apart doesn't do that. Guy getting his life in order does. That night, Seraphina didn't come home at all. I tracked her phone to Damien's building and left it at that. Let them have their panic party. Tomorrow was going to be interesting. Friday morning, the process server found Seraphina at a coffee shop near Damien's place. Kelly had tipped me off about their routine. The server texted me a photo. Seraphina, face pale, staring at the divorce papers like they might bite her. I was in a meeting when my phone exploded with texts. How could you? We need to talk. You can't do this. Call me. Now. I turned my phone off and finished my meeting. That afternoon, Kelly called. You need to see this. She sent me a link to Instagram. Someone had posted a video from a charity luncheon the day before. In the background, clear as day, Seraphina and Damien, his hand on her lower back, her leaning into him. The caption, spotted, new couple alert. The comments were already vicious. Houston society loves gossip, and a married woman publicly canoodling with another man was prime material. Who posted this? I asked. Friend of mine. She's connected to that whole scene. I might have mentioned that your wife and Damien were an item. Kelly. Relax. I didn't mention you. Just let it slip that they've been seeing each other. Society does the rest. By evening, the post had 200 comments. People Seraphina considered friends were weighing in, some defending her, most condemning. Her social media presence was being dissected, analyzed, judged. This was what she'd feared most. Not losing me, losing her reputation. Saturday morning, she finally came home. She looked like she hadn't slept. Her makeup was smudged, her clothes wrinkled. We need to talk, she said. I'm listening. I'll call off Cabo. I'll end things with Damien. We can try counseling. Why the change of heart? Because we have history. Because maybe I made a mistake. Or because your bank account is frozen, your lover's true colors are showing, and your social circle is turning on you? Her face hardened. You did this on purpose. The bank fraud report. The Instagram post. You're trying to ruin my life. I didn't post anything on Instagram, but I did protect myself financially. There's a difference. I want my half of the money. You'll get what you're entitled to in the divorce, minus what you spent on your affair. I've got documentation of every purchase. You bastard. Funny. A month ago you were calling me stupid. Now I'm a bastard. Which is it? She grabbed a lamp off the side table and threw it. I ducked. It hit the wall behind me and shattered. Feel better? I asked. I hate you. That's fine, but you're going to hate me from somewhere else. I want you out by Monday. This is my apartment too. Legally, yes, but I paid for it. And I'm willing to bet you don't have the cash for a hotel right now, seeing as how your accounts are frozen and your boyfriend is probably realizing you're not the meal ticket he thought you were. She stood there, shaking with rage, and I saw the exact moment she realized I was right. Where am I supposed to go? Vinny's place, your mother's, Damien's. I don't particularly care. You're enjoying this. No, I said honestly. I'm not. But I'm not going to be a doormat anymore either. She left, packed 3 suitcases worth of designer clothes and walked out without another word. I changed the locks that afternoon. Sunday, I spent cleaning the apartment. Every trace of her, every reminder went into boxes. Her clothes, her toiletries, her ridiculous decorative pillows. I stacked it all in the spare bedroom and texted her the address of a storage facility. Your things will be here. You have 30 days to collect them before I donate everything. No response. Monday morning, Kelly called again. Cabo trip is in 4 days. They're still going. Even with everything that's happened? Damien convinced her it'll blow over, that they just need to get away, let things calm down. He's telling her you're bluffing about the divorce, that you'll take her back once you cool off. He's wrong. I know. But she wants to believe him. It's easier than admitting she threw away her marriage for a con artist. What about the resort payment issue? Handled. They'll require a different card at check-in. Your frozen account won't work. Should be entertaining. Tuesday and Wednesday passed in a blur of work and lawyers. My attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia Gaines, laid out my options. Texas is a no-fault divorce state, but adultery can affect property division. With your documentation, we can argue she used community funds for the affair. That means you keep more. How much more? Depends on what she spent, but probably 60-40 split instead of 50-50. Maybe better if the judge is feeling vindictive. What about the house? You're renting, so it's not an issue. Separate your finances completely. Make sure she has no access to your accounts. Document everything. Already done. Patricia smiled. You're an organized client. I like that. Thursday morning, Seraphina and Damien left for Cabo. I knew because the airline sent me a notification. Mrs. Quaid and guest have checked in for flight 1247 to Cabo San Lucas. I went to work, focused on a valve replacement project. Tried not to think about what was happening 3,000 miles south. But Kelly kept me updated. They landed. They're at the resort. Check-in is happening now. Then, 2 hours later. Problem. I called her immediately. What happened? My friend at the resort called. They tried to check in, but the card on file was declined. They pulled out 3 other cards, all declined or at their limit. And? The resort won't let them check in without valid payment. They're holding their luggage and passports until payment is confirmed. How much are we talking? $12,000 for the room plus a $3,000 deposit for incidentals. 15 total. I leaned back in my chair. And they don't have it. Nope. Last I heard, Damien was on the phone with his mother, trying to get her to wire money. Seraphina was crying in the lobby. His mother's going to ask questions. Oh, she already did. My source says she heard him say it was for a business investment opportunity. Mom asked why he needed a deposit at a resort for business. He hung up on her. I felt something then. Not quite satisfaction. More like justice. Keep me posted, I said. By evening, the situation had escalated. Damien's mother had refused to send money. The resort had moved them to a holding area and threatened to call the police if they couldn't produce payment by morning. Seraphina had called everyone she knew. Vinny, other friends, her own mother. Nobody was willing to wire $15,000 to Mexico on short notice for what was obviously a romantic getaway gone wrong. She called me at 10 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. Harrison, please. I know you're angry, but I need help. We're stuck here. They won't let us leave without payment. Please, I'm begging you. I deleted the message. She called again at midnight, then 1 a.m., then 2. I turned my phone off and went to sleep. Friday morning, Kelly called before I'd even had coffee. They're on their way back. Already? Resort kicked them out. They managed to scrape together enough for one night at a budget hotel and flights home. But here's the kicker. They're flying back separately. Different airlines, different times. Damien left on the first flight out. Left your wife to handle the hotel bill herself. Classy guy. Seraphina's flight lands at Bush Intercontinental at 3:15. Thought you might want to know. I thought about it. What terminal? D International Arrivals. Thanks, Kelly. You going to meet her? Maybe. Want backup? I think I can handle my own wife. I called in to work, told Pete I needed the afternoon. He didn't ask questions. At 2:30, I was parked at Bush Intercontinental, watching the arrivals board. Flight 2847 from Cabo. On time. I bought a coffee and positioned myself near the international arrivals exit. The crowd was typical for a Friday afternoon. Business people, families, college kids coming back from spring break. At 3:20, passengers started emerging. I spotted Seraphina before she saw me. She looked destroyed. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup, jeans and a t-shirt instead of her usual designer outfit. She was pulling a carry-on behind her, moving through the crowd like a ghost. I stepped into her path. She stopped dead. What are you doing here? Wanted to see how your networking trip went. Get out of my way, Harrison. How was the resort? I heard there were some issues with payment. Her face crumpled. You knew, and you let us go anyway. I didn't let you do anything. You made your choices. We were humiliated. They treated us like criminals. They took our passports. Yeah, that's what happens when you can't pay your bills. Welcome to the real world. She tried to walk around me. I moved with her. Where's Damien? Gone. Gone where? I don't know. He left. Said he couldn't deal with this, that I'd ruined everything, that I was supposed to have money. Ah, so he finally showed his true colors. Stop it. He used you, Seraphina, just like I told you he would. And now you're alone, broke, and about to be divorced. How's that luxury lifestyle working out? She swung at me, actually pulled back and tried to slap me across the face. I caught her wrist. Don't, I said quietly. Let go of me. Gladly. I released her. But before you storm off, you should know that Damien cleared out his condo yesterday. My source says he's moving back in with his mother in Dallas. Oh, and that watch you bought him? He tried to return it to Cartier this morning. They wouldn't take it because it was engraved. You're lying. Call him. See if he answers. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands, dialed, waited. Her face went white. Numbers disconnected, she whispered. Wow, he moved fast. Why are you doing this? Why are you being so cruel? Cruel? I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You want to talk about cruel? You spent 6 months sneaking around behind my back. You used my money to buy gifts for your lover. You called me stupid. You were planning to leave me for a con artist who was only interested in our bank account. And now you're asking me why I'm being cruel? I made a mistake. No. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. What you did was calculated betrayal. She was crying now, ugly tears that smudged her face. What do you want from me? You want me to beg? Fine, I'm begging. Please, Harrison. I have nowhere to go. No money, no friends, please. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. You have your mother's house. You have Vinny's couch. You have options. They're just not luxurious options. I can't believe you're doing this. Believe it. I stepped back. The divorce will be final in 60 days. My lawyer will send you the settlement offer. Take it or don't, but either way, we're done. Oh, and Seraphina, that Instagram post that started all this? It was just the beginning. By now, everyone in your social circle knows exactly what you did. Good luck rebuilding that reputation. I walked away and didn't look back. Behind me, I heard her shouting my name, heard the tears, the anger, the desperation. But I kept walking. In the parking garage, I sat in my truck for a long time, hands on the steering wheel, breathing slowly. My phone rang. Kelly. How'd it go? She's devastated. Good. Is it, though? I just destroyed someone I used to love. She destroyed herself, Kelly said firmly. You just documented it. Maybe. Harrison, listen to me. I let Damien walk all over me. I let him take my money, my confidence, my dignity. By the time I fought back, it was too late. You didn't make that mistake. You stood up for yourself. That's not cruel. That's self-preservation. Thanks. Buy you a drink? Rain check. I need to process this alone. I drove home, changed the locks again just to be safe, and opened a beer. The apartment was quiet, clean, empty. It felt like victory. Why didn't it feel like victory? My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You think you won? You didn't. I'll make sure everyone knows what you did. I blocked the number and finished my beer. Monday morning brought a new message, this time from Seraphina's lawyer, a bottom feeder named Richard Voss, who specialized in dragging divorces out for maximum billable hours. Mr. Quaid, I represent Seraphina Langley Quaid in the matter of your divorce. We need to discuss settlement terms and temporary support arrangements. Please contact my office immediately. I forwarded it to Patricia. She called me 30 minutes later. Voss is a piece of work. He's going to make this as painful as possible. Can he? He can try, but we've got documentation he doesn't. Affair evidence, misuse of community funds. My guess is he'll push for temporary spousal support and try to drag out negotiations, hoping you'll cave to make it stop. I'm not caving. Good, then we play hardball. I'll respond with our evidence and a settlement offer. He can take it, or we go to court. Either way, you win. How long will this take? If she fights, 6 months to a year. If she's smart and takes the settlement, 60 days and it's done. That week was a lesson in psychological warfare. Voss sent threatening letters. Seraphina sent pleading texts from new numbers. Her mother called twice, trying to guilt me into being reasonable. I blocked them all and focused on work. But the social front was more interesting. Kelly had been busy. Through her network of ex-wives and scorned women, she'd ensured that every charity board, country club, and society circle in Houston knew about Seraphina's affair, not through obvious gossip, but through strategic whispers. I heard she's having money troubles. Someone told me she was involved with that Wren man. Didn't her husband file for divorce? The effect was devastating. Seraphina had built her entire identity on her social standing. She'd traded her marriage for the promise of a luxury lifestyle and a place in Houston's elite circles. Now those circles were closing ranks against her. Wednesday afternoon, Kelly sent me photos from a charity luncheon. Seraphina had apparently tried to attend, probably desperate to salvage her reputation. The photos showed her standing alone at a cocktail reception, women she'd considered friends literally turning their backs. In one shot, Vinny was in the background, conspicuously ignoring her. Vinny flipped, Kelly said when I called. Apparently she's saying she warned Seraphina about Damien, that she tried to help, but Seraphina wouldn't listen. She's protecting herself. Smart. Ruthless, more like. But that's how this world works. Nobody wants to be associated with a scandal. Thursday brought an unexpected development. Damien's mother called me. Mr. Quaid, this is Margaret Wren. I believe you know my son. Mrs. Wren, I need to apologize. I had no idea Damien was involved with a married woman. If I'd known, it's not your fault. Nevertheless, I want you to know I've cut him off financially. He's 43 years old, and he's been living off family money his entire life. That ends now. I appreciate you telling me. There's something else. Damien mentioned that woman, your wife, was wealthy, that she had significant assets. When things fell apart in Mexico, he was shocked to learn the money wasn't there. He came home furious, claiming she'd lied to him. I almost laughed. She didn't lie. I just protected what was mine. Good for you, Mr. Quaid. Men like my son prey on kindness and trust. I'm glad you saw through him. After we hung up, I sat back and marveled at the irony. Damien had been counting on Seraphina's money. Seraphina had been counting on Damien's status. Both had been selling each other fantasies. and I'd been the only one living in reality. Friday, Patricia called with news. Voss sent over their counteroffer. She wants 70% of marital assets, temporary support of $5,000 a month, and full forgiveness of any funds spent during the marriage. That's insane. It's a negotiating position. He knows he won't get it. But it tells me she's desperate. Broke people don't ask for the moon unless they're really broke. So what do? We respond with our original offer. 60-40 split in your favor due to marital waste. No spousal support given the brief duration of marriage and her employability. Full accounting of her expenditures to be deducted from her share. Will she take it? If she's smart? If not, we file a detailed accounting with the court showing every hotel receipt, every gift purchase, every dollar she spent on the affair. Then we let a judge decide. I promise you, Texas judges don't look kindly on that kind of behavior. Do it. That weekend, I did something I hadn't done in months. I went out. Not to a bar or a club, to a baseball game. I called Pete and a few other guys from work, and we got nosebleed seats at Minute Maid Park and drank overpriced beer and yelled at the umpires. It felt normal. Human. Like I was finally starting to remember who I'd been before Seraphina had spent 2 years trying to turn me into someone else. You seem better, Pete said during the 7th inning stretch. Getting there. Divorce finalized? Working on it. For what it's worth, you're better off. Woman who makes you feel small isn't worth keeping. When did you get so wise? He grinned. 2 divorces. You learn things. Monday brought Seraphina's response to our settlement offer. She'd rejected it. She wants mediation, Patricia said. Face-to-face negotiation with a neutral third party. Why? My guess? She thinks she can manipulate you in person, appeal to your sympathy. Maybe she's hoping you still have feelings for her. I don't. Then this will be quick. Mediation is scheduled for Wednesday at 2 p.m., downtown office. You'll sit in a room, she'll sit in another room, and the mediator will go back and forth trying to find common ground. And if we don't find any, then we file the detailed accounting and let the court decide. But I'm betting she caves. She can't afford a prolonged fight. Wednesday afternoon, I put on my best suit and drove downtown. The mediation office was in one of those glass towers that looked expensive but felt sterile. Patricia met me in the lobby. Remember, don't engage emotionally. This is business. She's going to try to make you feel guilty. Don't fall for it. I won't. The mediator was a pleasant woman in her 50s named Sandra Ross. She explained the process, showed me to a conference room, and brought me coffee I didn't drink. Then she left to talk to Seraphina. 20 minutes later, she returned. Mrs. Quaid would like to speak with you directly. Are you comfortable with that? I looked at Patricia. She nodded slightly. Fine. Seraphina came in looking like she'd aged 5 years. Dark circles under her eyes, expensive clothes that hung on her like she'd lost weight. She sat across from me and folded her hands on the table. Harrison. Seraphina. Can we talk? Just us? Patricia started to object. I held up a hand. It's fine. Give us 5 minutes. The room cleared. Seraphina and I sat in silence. You've destroyed my life, she said finally. No, you did that yourself. I made a mistake. One mistake. And you've turned it into a vendetta. 6 months isn't a mistake. It's a choice. Multiple choices. I loved him. You loved what he represented. Status, excitement, escape from reality. But he didn't love you. He used you. And what did you do? You used me too. Married me for what? Companionship? Someone to come home to? I married you because I loved you. Past tense. She flinched. What happened to us? You decided I wasn't enough, that my job wasn't prestigious enough, my income wasn't high enough, my life wasn't glamorous enough. So you went looking for something better and found a con artist who told you what you wanted to hear. He said he loved me. He said he loved your bank account. There's a difference. She was crying now. Quiet tears that didn't move me the way they once might have. What do you want from me? She asked. Nothing. I want you to sign the settlement agreement and let me move on with my life. The terms aren't fair. They're more than fair. You spent $30,000 of our money on a watch for your lover. You spent thousands more on hotel rooms and gifts and vacations. The settlement accounts for that. You get 40% instead of 50%. That's generous considering I could argue for much less. I can't survive on that. Then get a job. I haven't worked in 10 years. That's not my problem anymore. She stood abruptly. You're heartless. No, I'm done. There's a difference. She left the room. Patricia returned with Sandra. Mrs. Quaid has agreed to sign, Sandra said, pending a few minor modifications to the payment schedule. What modifications? She wants 60 days to vacate her current residence and find alternative housing, and she wants her personal items returned immediately. I looked at Patricia. She nodded. Reasonable requests. Fine. Agreed. We spent another hour hammering out details. By 5 p.m., we had a signed settlement agreement. 60 days until the divorce was final. Seraphina would get 40% of marital assets minus documented affair expenses. No spousal support. Clean break. I walked out of that building feeling lighter than I had in months. Drinks? Patricia asked. We should celebrate. Thanks, but I think I need to process this alone. Fair enough. Harrison, you did good today. Not everyone has the spine to stand up for themselves like this. I drove home in Friday traffic, windows down, radio playing old country music that reminded me of a simpler time. The apartment was quiet when I got there. Empty. But it didn't feel lonely anymore. It felt like possibility. 2 weeks before the divorce was final, Seraphina made one last play. Kelly called me on a Saturday morning, laughing so hard she could barely talk. You're not going to believe this. Try me. Seraphina booked herself a spa weekend at the Hotel Ella in Austin, one of those luxury wellness retreats, $5,000 for 3 days. How is she paying for that? She's not. She gave them a card that I'm betting is maxed out. But here's the best part. Vinny told her friend group about it, made a big announcement that Seraphina's recovering from her trauma with some self-care time. Half the women she knows are going to be there. Why is that funny? Because when that card declines, she's going to be humiliated in front of everyone. Kelly, that seems deserved? Because it is. Remember, this is the woman who publicly trashed you to anyone who'd listen, who blamed you for everything, who tried to take you for 70% in the divorce. She had a point. When's the booking? Next weekend. Check-in Friday, check-out Monday. Want to come watch the fireworks? Absolutely not. Suit yourself, but I'm going. Wouldn't miss it. I tried to forget about it, tried to focus on work and my own life, but curiosity is a powerful thing. Friday afternoon, Kelly started sending updates. She's checked in. So far, so good. Spa appointment scheduled for tomorrow morning. Her credit card worked. I'm shocked. But Saturday morning brought different news. Problem. Spa tried to charge her card for incidentals. Declined. Now the hotel is demanding alternative payment. What's she doing? According to my source, she's locked herself in her room, won't answer the phone. Hotel management is standing outside her door. This is sad, Kelly. This is justice. By noon, the situation had escalated. The hotel had used a master key to enter Seraphina's room. She was escorted to the front desk, where a manager informed her that without valid payment, she'd have to leave immediately. This happened in the main lobby, where at least 15 women from her social circle witnessed the entire thing. Kelly's source sent video. Seraphina, tears streaming down her face, begging the manager to just let her have the weekend, promising to pay on Monday. The manager, polite but firm, explaining that wasn't hotel policy. Security escorts appearing to help with her bags. And in the background, women Seraphina had once called friends, whispering and recording on their phones. By Saturday evening, the video was circulating on private Instagram accounts and group texts. Seraphina's final humiliation was complete. Sunday, she called me, first time in 2 weeks. I debated not answering, but something made me pick up. "What do you want, Seraphina?" "They're destroying me." Her voice was hoarse, broken. "Everyone's laughing. The video is everywhere." I heard. "You could stop this. You could tell them, I don't know, tell them something that makes me look less pathetic." "Why would I do that?" "Because we were married. Because you're not a monster." "I'm not a monster, but I'm not your savior either. You made choices, Seraphina. This is the consequence." "I've lost everything. My friends, my reputation, my home." "Yes. That doesn't bother you?" "Honestly, not as much as I thought it would." Silence on the line. "I see," she said finally. "You really don't care anymore." "No, I really don't." She hung up. I sat there for a long time, phone in hand, waiting to feel guilty. But all I felt was tired. Monday, Patricia called with good news. Seraphina's lawyer withdrew. Voss filed a motion to be removed from the case, citing non-payment of legal fees. She's representing herself now. What does that mean for the divorce? It means she can't afford to fight anymore. The divorce will be final on schedule. 2 more weeks and you're free. Best news I've heard all month. Tuesday brought an unexpected visitor. I came home from work to find Vinnie Caraway sitting in her car outside my apartment building. "We need to talk," she said when I approached. "About?" "Seraphina, and the truth." I leaned against her car. "I'm listening." "I feel guilty," Vinnie said. "I encouraged her, told her she deserved better, told her Damien was successful and charming and exactly what she needed. I pushed them together." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need you to know it wasn't entirely her fault. She was vulnerable, and I exploited that. I was bored with my own marriage and living vicariously through hers. That doesn't excuse what she did." "No, but it explains it." Vinnie looked at me. "She's not doing well, Harrison. She's staying with her mother. Can't afford her own place. Can't get a job because nobody wants to hire someone with a 10-year employment gap and a scandal attached to their name. Again, not my problem." "I know. I thought you should know." "Why? So I'll feel bad? So I'll give her more money?" "No. So you'll know you won. Completely. Totally. She has nothing left." I straightened up. "Vinnie, I didn't want to win. I just wanted her to be honest. If she'd come to me a year ago and said she was unhappy, that she wanted out, we could have handled this like adults. Instead, she lied and cheated and tried to steal from me. This isn't winning. This is surviving." Vinnie nodded slowly. "For what it's worth, I think you're right. And I'm sorry." She drove away, leaving me standing in the parking lot wondering why people always wait until after the damage is done to apologize. The divorce was finalized. I walked out a free man. That evening, Kelly and I celebrated on a rooftop, watching the Houston skyline. I got a call from Richard Voss warning that Seraphina might cause trouble. I asked Pete to alert building security. 3 days later, security called. Seraphina was in the lobby, screaming about belongings that had been moved to storage weeks ago. She demanded money. I refused, citing her choices and consequences. Guards escorted her out. She cried on the sidewalk. Damien emailed, claiming he wasn't the villain. I blocked him, exposing his history if he contacted me again. Vinnie informed me Seraphina was living in her car. I declined to help. She was responsible for her choices. The following week passed quietly. Kelly and I shared a victory lap champagne on my balcony, reflecting on survival and moving on. The divorce was legally final. The settlement could not be modified. I packed my Houston apartment and drove away. On the highway, I saw Seraphina, tired, older, standing but broken. I drove on, leaving the past behind. 3 months later, I settled in Dallas, starting fresh. Seraphina had moved to Austin, working as a receptionist, Damien back at his mother's. The mighty had fallen. At a coffee shop, I met Claire, a recently divorced teacher. We connected over books, exchanged numbers, and made plans. For the first time in years, I felt hope. I watched the Dallas sunset, thinking about Seraphina and Damien, their lives, their regrets. It wasn't my concern. I'd survived, kept my integrity, and was finally free.